Chain Review Print Speaking to the Blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast, recorded at the Bishop Briggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QNReview. That is @ CUEANDREVIEW. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@QNreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 26th of February 2026, News. Glasgow prisoner convicted of raping 15-year-old dies in Berlin. Article written by senior reporter Isidor Tarnay. A Glasgow prisoner who was convicted of raping a 15-year-old girl has died. Robert Kennedy, 44, died in HMP Berlin on 19th of February 2026, the Scottish Prison Service confirmed. In 2024, the former commercial boat skipper was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment after he plied a young girl with drink and drugs and attacked her in a Partick car park in September 24, 2021. He did this while awaiting sentence for a crime involving the use of a needle. He was also the subject of 2 bail orders. Sentencing, Lord Arthurson told the Trayston resident at the time, "You did not know your victim. It is plain you provided her with alcohol and street Valium in the day of and prior to this crime. The damage inflicted by you is incalculable. The pre-sentencing report confirms you present a significant risk of harming, in particular a high risk to lone females." A Scottish Prison Service spokesperson said, "Every death, whether in prison custody or in our communities, is a tragedy for all those who knew and supported the individual. Following the death of someone in our care, Police Scotland is advised, and the matter is reported to the Procurator Fiscal. Fatal accident inquiries are held in due course." Report written by Isidor Tarnay and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday, 26th of February 2026. From the news section. Tribute to beloved founder of Glasgow Homeless Charity. Article written by Stuart Patterson. One of the founders of a Glasgow charity who dedicated herself to helping homeless people has died. Tina McInnes, together with her brother Colin, set up Homeless Project Scotland, starting with little more than a kind heart, a flask of soup and a packet of biscuits just 6 years ago. The charity has announced today that Tina passed away after an illness. Tina was always present at a shelter and previously at the soup kitchen underneath the Healerman's umbrella. Even after her diagnosis of advanced cervical cancer, she was out helping with meals and arranging accommodation for people. In a statement, Homeless Project Scotland said, "Today is an incredibly sad day for everyone at Homeless Project Scotland. We shared the heartbreaking news that Tina McInnes, one of the founding members of our charity, has passed away. Tina was there at the very beginning when Homeless Project Scotland was just an idea, a backpack, and a determination to help people who had nowhere else to turn. It paid tribute to her values and beliefs that helped turn a desire to help into an organisation helping hundreds of people each day. Tina was motivated by her own experience of homelessness almost 2 decades ago, when she was in London and had also come through addiction." The statement continued, "She believed in compassion over judgment. She believed that everyone deserved dignity, and she stood beside us as we built what has become a lifeline for so many across Glasgow and beyond. Her kindness, her loyalty, and her heart for people facing homelessness helped shape the values we still stand by today." Last year, the Glasgow Times reported how Tina was diagnosed with cancer and was still volunteering at the charity from its base in Glasgow Street. She received letters of support from the Prime Minister, First Minister and Lord Provost of Glasgow. Tina spoke to the Glasgow Times in November last year about the charity after her diagnosis. She said, "The charity has achieved way more than we could ever have imagined when we first set out one winter night with flasks of tea and soup and a packet of biscuits. It is in my soul and my heart now. You can't take me away from it. It is indescribable how I feel about it, to be able to help someone at their most stressful moments. I love doing it." The charity statement ended with its own recognition of Tina's contribution to helping vulnerable people in the city. It said, "You helped build something that will continue changing lives. You will never be forgotten." Article written by Stuart Patterson. From the Glasgow Times, Thursday the 26th of February 2026. News. 2 charged after video shows incident near Glasgow school. Article written by Stuart Patterson. 2 youths have been charged in connection with an incident close to a Glasgow school. A video circulating on social media shows one boy being attacked by 2 others. The incident took place on Tuesday afternoon after the end of the school day. Police confirmed 2 youths have been charged. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, 2 male youths have been charged in connection with an assault and a robbery which took place on Copeland Road at Paisley Road West, Glasgow, around 4 p.m. on Tuesday 24th February 2026. A report will be forwarded to the relevant authorities. Sources have said the school has been inundated with phone calls and emails, including threats, since the video was posted online, with people suggesting the incident was racially motivated. A Glasgow City Council spokesperson said, "We are aware that youths have been charged in connection with an assault, so it would not be appropriate to comment on a specific incident. The school is working with the police and took swift action as soon as the allegations were made. We are aware of a video being shared online and we condemn violence of any form. However, we would like to make it clear that spreading disinformation about a complex situation without the correct facts is dangerous and unhelpful, and we would urge the local community to let the authorities do their jobs." Sources indicated that it's understood the incident is not race-related, but an escalation of a verbal exchange. Article written by Stuart Patterson and recorded by Ian McKenna.
Evening Times Sport, February 26. I attended Winter Paralympic flame lighting for 2026 Games, says Victoria Jane Scholes, who is a law graduate and qualified journalist via the Academy for Disabled Journalists. And she says, "You never know in life where things are going to take you. If you had gone back over 100 years and told a certain Sir Ludwig Gutmann that in 2026 we would be celebrating 50 years since the very first Paralympic Games, I am not sure he would have believed you. The same as I cannot quite believe I was in attendance of my second lighting of a Paralympic flame. The event, which was held at the amazing birthplace of the Paralympic movement, Stoke Mandeville Stadium, was hosted by 19-time gold Paralympic medalist Dame Sarah Storey. I heard how the Games began back in 1960 in Rome, and March 6, 2026, Verona Arena will present Life in Motion. It reinforced how important the lighting of the Paralympic flame is and what it represents. IPC President Andrew Parsons told how Stoke Mandeville Stadium is seen as a sacred ground that started out with just 16 war veterans in 1948 for the Stoke Mandeville Games. Countess Elizabeth Howe, His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Buckinghamshire, gave a speech in which she highlighted that the flame was lit here today is more than a symbol. It carries the hopes of athletes, the strengths of communities, and the belief that anyone, whatever their circumstance, deserves a chance to move, to compete, and to belong. In the presence of the Gutman family, the flame was lit by Great Britain athlete and four-time Paralympic medalist in alpine skiing, Millie Knight, and four-time Paralympian for the Italian ice hockey team, Andrea Macri. Speaking after the lighting of the flame, Millie advised, "The Paralympics has become about elite sport, about how these athletes are at the top of their game, are the best in the game, and they are disabled. It goes to show that many people are no longer seeing disability at first sport, second, when it comes to the Paralympics. And whilst the Games must keep inclusivity at the forethought of their minds, it highlights how far the Games have come. For the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games, the campaign Equal Play was launched, in which it was said that every child deserves to be included in PE and sports. The latest survey has shown that whilst progress has been made, 12 to 15-year-olds are still being let down, so these games could not have come at a better time, as it gives the chance to reignite the campaign. President of Milano Cortina 2026, Giovanni Malago, said, "Even if one child with a disability is inspired to take up sport because of these games, then we shall have every reason to be proud of what we have achieved together." To Millie, Andrea and Andrew, the flame you're about to carry to Italy represents the very best of us. It embodies what we can become when we work together towards a common goal capable of transforming millions of lives. Paralympic GB has 25 talented athletes taking part. Among them are Britain's most decorated winter Paralympian alpine skier, Mena Fitzpatrick, and new to the circuit, snowboarder Davy Z, who will make history as the first person with MND to compete at the Games. Dan Brook, chair of Paralympics GB, said, "As we pass the flame from its birthplace to Milano Cortina, we hope it will light up the globe with Italy's unique passion. Best of luck to the organisers and to all in the Paralympics GB team." As the flame made a special flight following the ceremony, festivals will be held in the coming days as it makes its way to its final destination for the opening ceremony and the Games on March 6 to 15. As our teams make their way out to their destination, from me, I wish all at Team GB the best of luck. You can find out more about the history of the Paralympic Games at the National Paralympic Heritage Trust Museum, located at Stoke Mandeville Stadium, or on their website. Report by Victoria Jane Scholes. Evening Times Sport, February 26. Lifestyle. Costa Coffee Bishopbriggs opens after refurb. Report by Amy Miles. A beloved coffee shop has reopened after it underwent a major expansion which has created 7 new jobs. Costa Coffee in Bishopbriggs, located at Strathkelvin Retail Park, officially reopened today. The transformation nearly doubles the size of the long-standing cafe, which now includes an additional unit and seating for more than 100 customers, both indoors and outdoors. Emma McLeish, area manager at Costa Coffee, said, "We are delighted to unveil our newly extended Bishopbriggs store and to welcome customers into a space that's bigger, brighter, and designed with the community at its heart. This store has proudly served Bishopbriggs for many years, and this investment allows us to continue doing what we love, crafting great coffee experiences and bringing people together. With new team members joining us, we look forward to serving even more customers their favorite Costa Coffee moments. The expanded seating area and refreshed interiors are designed to create a welcoming, spacious environment for friends, families, and individuals to relax and enjoy their drinks. The shop now includes a redesigned counter layout, an additional till point, and upgraded coffee equipment to improve the speed of service. Alongside the familiar Costa Coffee menu, customers can enjoy a new selection of freshly baked pastries, all crafted to complement the brand's Mocha Italia signature blend. To support the expanded operations, 7 new baristas have been recruited, reinforcing the company's commitment to the community and providing new job opportunities in the area. The store is open from 6:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturdays, and 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays. Report by Amy Miles.
From the Glasgow Times, Sunday the 1st of March 2026. From the news section, court report. Glasgow boxer guilty of abuse as Pollock and Hamilton thugs in court, by Amy Miles. From a brutal murder to a former boxer caged after years of abuse, these are 3 of the most harrowing cases to come before Glasgow High Court this week. Jonathan Slowey, a former boxer, was sentenced to 14 years behind bars after being found guilty of a campaign of violent and sexual abuse against 3 women across Glasgow's East End, East Dunbartonshire and Aberdeen. The offences, which took place between 2012 and 2023, included rape, verbal abuse, coercive control, and physical and sexual violence. Prosecutors said Slowey created a cocktail of fear and submission for his victims. Slowey, who was previously banned from boxing for cocaine use, continues to deny all charges but was convicted of 15 offences. He will also be placed on the sex offenders register with an additional 4 years supervision following his release. He has also been barred indefinitely from contacting the women he abused. Elsewhere, a brutal attempt to murder left 1 man fighting for his life. James Campbell, 41, admitted trying to kill Keith Anderson at his home in July and June the 12th, 2024. Keith was attacked after his door was kicked in and his flat was ransacked. Campbell's associate, Daniel Ballantyne, punched Mr. Anderson and then fled the scene. Campbell then stabbed Mr. Anderson in the chest, shouted, "Hurry up and die," and struck him over the head with a dumbbell. The attack left Keith in a coma with a collapsed lung and multiple stab wounds. Doctors said he could have died without emergency treatment. Campbell pleaded guilty to attempted murder, while Ballantyne admitted a lesser charge of assault. Sentencing was adjourned for reports. In a separate case, a stabbing in the street nearly claimed another life. John Paul McMillan, 43, admitted stabbing his neighbour, James McCaughey, in the torso during an incident in Pollock on July the 16th, 2025. James was walking to Tesco with his partner when Macmillan pulled a large black-handled kitchen knife from his waistband and stabbed him once before fleeing. Bystanders and James's partner tried to stem the bleeding with a towel until emergency services arrived. He then later underwent surgery to repair damage to his colon and diaphragm. He has been left permanently scarred by the attack. A doctor informed the court that the injury posed a potential danger to life due to the risk of sepsis. Macmillan pleaded guilty to assault and to severe injury, permanent disfigurement, impairment and danger of life. Lady Drummond deferred sentencing for background reports. This article was written by Amy Miles and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 2nd of March 2026, from the news section. Cops search for ginger suspect after glass bottle attack in Kilmarnock, by Esdor Tarnai. Cops are searching for a ginger suspect after a glass bottle attack in Kilmarnock. Detectives are asking for the public's help following a serious assault which took place on Old Street in the town on Saturday, February 28th. Emergency services were called shortly before 10 p.m. after reports that a 34-year-old man was struck over the head with a glass bottle. He attended University Hospital Crosshouse for treatment. The suspect is described as a white male, aged between 16 and 22 years, around 5 foot 8 inches tall with a thin build, red hair, and was wearing a grey coloured tracksuit and a white baseball cap. He was seen on Low Glencairn Street riding a white coloured bicycle prior to the assault taking place on Old Street. Detective Constable Lee Duncan said, "This was an unprovoked attack which has left the victim with a significant head wound requiring multiple stitches. We know that Low Glencairn Street was particularly busy when the suspect was seen riding his bicycle, and I would like to speak to anyone who may have seen him either before, during or after the assault took place. Anyone with dashcam or CCTV footage could have captured the suspect or assault, and if so, I ask that they contact police immediately." That report was written by Esdor Tarnai and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Monday 2nd of March, news. Emirates details as Dubai flights to restart tomorrow, by senior reporter Esdor Tarnai. Emirates has shared details of its Dubai flight restarting after 3 days of cancellations. The airline released a statement on social media after the temporary partial closure of the United Arab Emirates (UAE) airspace due to a joint US and Israel conflict on Iran. The message read, "Emirates will begin operating a limited number of flights commencing on the evening of March 2nd. We are accommodating customers with earlier bookings as a priority, and those who have been rebooked to travel on these limited flights will be contacted directly by Emirates. Please do not go to the airport unless you have been notified. All other flights remain suspended until further notice. Emirates continues to monitor the situation, and we will develop our operational schedule accordingly. Updates will be published on www.emirates.com and their official social media channels." The company emphasised that safety and security of our passengers and crew remain their highest priority. Glasgow Airport flies to Dubai, but as we reported previously, flights were cancelled yesterday and on Sunday due to the military conflict. That article was written by Esdor Tarnai. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 2nd of March 2026, from the news section. Exclusive. Rutherglen woman was told to take Lexigel to treat endometriosis. This article is an exclusive written by Amanda Keenan. A doctor misdiagnosed a woman's crippling endometriosis as irritable bowel syndrome, prescribing her with 56 sachets of laxatives to combat her condition. Amy Robertson hit out at the NHS failures and delays that she says left her with no choice but to seek surgery privately plunging her into £10,000 of debt that she had to pay off in monthly instalments. Amy is now calling for the condition to be taken more seriously, with better training for medical professionals to help them recognise and diagnose the disease earlier, as well as action to cut long waiting times for sufferers to see a gynaecologist. She explained, "What I've gone through has been horrendous, from a very young age, and there was no sign of me even getting off the NHS waiting list for an appointment to be diagnosed, never mind treated. I simply couldn't bear the pain any longer. It was getting worse and worse with every month that passed, and I was left with no option but to go private. It just shouldn't be like that." Amy first noticed something was wrong at 16 when she began to experience bloating and pain. She was told because her periods were normal that it was nothing to worry about and that her symptoms would improve in time. The 22-year-old exclusively told the Glasgow Times, "It took 5 years of medical gaslighting before I was taken seriously. I was made to feel foolish because my menstrual cycle was normal and was told it couldn't possibly be endometriosis. It got so bad that I became severely constipated and was prescribed 56 sachets of the laxative a week. The pain progressed and I could actually feel the condition pressing against my hips. I knew deep down that something wasn't right and I became so bloated that I couldn't find clothes to fit over my stomach. I felt no one was listening, and that's when I decided to take matters into my own hands." Amy, from Rutherglen, travelled to Manchester to take part in clinical research for a new test called EndoSure, which has very recently come to Glasgow. It discovered that she had stage 2 endometriosis, and she was then able to ask her GP for a referral to see a gynaecologist. The chronic condition causes tissue, like the lining of the womb, to spread to other organs in the body. Common symptoms include pelvic pain, painful periods that interfere with everyday life, heavy menstrual bleeding, and pain during or after intercourse. Amy, who works in cabin crew, explained, "My quality of life was so bad, I became utterly miserable. I was horrified to be told it would take up to a year to see a gynaecologist on the NHS and then another year before surgery could happen. I was in so much pain because I was unable to empty my bowel properly that I felt there was no other option than to pay to be seen privately. No woman should be forced to do that because of long waiting lists." Amy had surgery to remove her endometriosis at Ross Hall Hospital in Crookston in August and is now finally able to rebuild her life. She adds, "All in all, with tests and surgery, it cost me around £10,000. I've been paying it off monthly and my parents have also been a fantastic help. Too many women are being let down because it takes years to be diagnosed and even longer to get a surgical intervention. It's not good enough. There needs to be a better education for doctors who need to take women's health much more seriously." New data revealed by Endometriosis UK has revealed that the average time to receive a diagnosis of the condition in Scotland has now reached 10 years and 2 months. Alarmingly, this figure has increased from an average of 8 years and 6 months back in 2020. The findings highlight the struggles of individuals seeking diagnosis and treatment to reduce the severity of symptoms. It showed that 39% of respondents reported needing to visit their GP 10 times or more before endometriosis was suspected. Additionally, 55% of women attended A&E with their symptoms, but 46% were sent home without treatment. Emma Cox, CEO of Endometriosis UK, said, "It is unacceptable that those living with endometriosis in Scotland must endure years of pain and uncertainty before receiving a diagnosis. Our findings underscored the urgent need not only for increased awareness and understanding of endometriosis and menstrual health among healthcare providers, but for this to be translated into action with appropriate levels of resources allocated by the NHS to overcome far too long waiting lists and enable access to care where and when it's needed. Endometriosis care has been neglected for too long and the situation is getting worse. Governments must treat endometriosis as a common, chronic condition that requires systematic action, and we want an unequivocal commitment to reduce average diagnosis time to 1 year by less than 2030. The charity is also hosting an event for MSPs at Holyrood on March the 5th as part of Endometriosis Action Month. A spokesperson for Greater Glasgow and Clyde Health Board said they are prioritising patients by clinical urgency to ensure those with the most serious conditions are seen as quickly as possible. They added, as is the case across the country, NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde is facing pressures across many of its services. We apologise to Amy Robertson and to anyone who has experienced longer waiting times than expected. We recognise the distress this can cause. We are prioritising patients by clinical urgency to ensure those with the most serious conditions are seen as quickly as possible, and we are taking significant action to reduce waiting times. We have recruited additional consultants and nurse specialists, increased theatre capacity, and expanded the number of outpatient clinics. To provide even greater flexibility and further increased capacity, we continue to use private sector provision alongside our own services, and we are seeing the positive impact on waiting times. We would also like to thank our staff, who continue to work extremely hard to meet these challenges with professionalism and commitment. That article was an exclusive written by Amanda Keenan. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 2nd of March 2026, from the news section. Thug ambush man who owed him cash in Glasgow murder bid, by Grant McCabe. A murder bid thug who ambushed a young man who owed him £350 has been locked up for 8 years. John Paul Riley, 21, sped up on his dirt bike to confront Dylan Brown in Glasgow's Royston on February the 1st, 2024. Riley had previously tried to get the cash back from the 20-year-old. The victim, who had hearing issues, had been walking to a shop with a 13-year-old boy at the time. Riley appeared from behind on his bike with his hood up and his face partially covered by a snood. The laughing thug stated to him, "I told you I would see you, Dylan." Prosecutor Anne Chisholm told the High Court in Glasgow that Riley then pulled the victim to the ground and repeatedly struck him with the knife. Dylan managed to stagger to his feet before Riley escaped on his dirt bike. A blood-stained Dylan asked the boy to get him help. The victim's mum then drove him to hospital. Dylan stated, "I cannot breathe. He stabbed me twice in the back and once in the chest." Dylan required extensive emergency treatment. The injuries included a collapsed lung. The court heard he had been at serious risk of catastrophic bleeding. Dylan, who also had an injury to his bowel, remained in hospital for almost a week. He has been left scarred for life. Riley of Royston could not be traced at the time, but later handed himself into police. He was sentenced today, having earlier pleaded guilty to attempted murder. Lord Matthews told Riley, according to a victim impact statement, as a result of the operation, he had over 70 staples on his body, which left him with a very bad scar from chest to groin. He was in pain for months, and his confidence has been severely compromised. He feels constant embarrassment and shame as well, as suffering difficulties with his mental health, panic attacks, flashbacks, and he has delusions of being attacked again. Riley was also ordered to be supervised for a further 2 years on his release. That article was written by Grant McCabe and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Monday the 2nd of March 2026, from the news section. 2 evil nuns terrorise youngsters in Glasgow children's home. Report by Connor Gordon. 2 evil nuns carried out a 6-year campaign of historical abuse at a children's home. Marie O'Gorman, 79, and Mary Maguire, 68, terrorised 7 vulnerable youngsters who were in their care at Nazareth House in Glasgow's Cardonald. O'Gorman began her services at the Sisters of Nazareth congregation in 1963. Her first victim was aged between 4 and 8 when he pushed O'Gorman for upsetting his sister. Glasgow Sheriff Court heard how O'Gorman, described as a disciplinarian of the home, struck the boy to his bare buttocks with a leather harness. The sobbing child was bloodied and cried for help as a result of the attack between 1975 and 1979. O'Gorman was also abusive towards the same boy while he was in a bath. The boy's sister was aged between 3 and 7 when she was hit in the body by O'Gorman. The girl was also hit on the buttocks with a slipper. Fiscal Lauren Aitchison said, "The victim recalled if she wet the bed, O'Gorman would take her to the bathroom, force her to stand in a freezing bath and pour cold water on her. The same victim was then made to wear a nappy in front of the other children, which made her feel degraded. A second girl was aged around 10 or 11 when O'Gorman struck her with a leather belt on the hand for not eating her vegetables. The victim recalled crying after the incident and went on to eat all of her meals. The court heard that Maguire joined the congregation in 1975 and worked at Nazareth House between 1978 and 1981. Her first victim was 10 years old when Maguire struck the girl in the body with a leather belt for being cheeky. The buckle hit her on the eye, which caused a bruise. The same girl recalled being struck on the leg with Maguire's hand after losing a sandal on a trip to Girvan, South Ayrshire. Maguire's second victim was aged between 7 and 10 when she struck him with a belt in front of the other kids. She went on to put the boy over her knee and smacked him up to 5 times, leaving him in tears. The boy's brother was also a victim at the hands of Maguire, who was repeatedly struck when he was aged between 8 and 11 years old. Maguire later shouted at a 16-year-old girl for misbehaving in a chapel. Miss Aitchison stated, "She said she would teach her not to do it again." Maguire took a hairbrush and struck her to the back of the head, which made her cry and become fearful. The final victim initially recalled Maguire being nice to her when she moved to the home. However, the girl, who was aged between 5 and 6, stated Maguire struck her with a leather belt and recalled that it felt nippy. The court heard that Maguire had left the nunnery after 1981 and has spent the last 40 years as a care worker. Maguire, of Lacor, Fife, pleaded guilty to 2 charges of causing unnecessary suffering and 1 assault. O'Gorman, who now resides in Ireland, meantime admitted 1 charge of causing unnecessary suffering and 3 assaults. Sentence was deferred until next month pending background reports by Sheriff Louise Arrow Casey, who bailed both women meantime. That report was written by Connor Gordon and read by Ian McKenna.
From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday, 4th of March 2026. Glasgow's historic Suckyhall Street CCA to open again, by Sarah Hilly. A historic Suckyhall Street building, which suddenly closed, will open its doors again as soon as legally able, according to a councillor. The Centre for Contemporary Arts CCA shut in January, leaving the A-listed Alexander Greek Thompson design property empty and staff redundant. The CCA was placed into admission, and Creative Scotland, which owns the building at 350 Suckyhall Street, said it will no longer fund the organisation. Suckyhall Street is receiving £2.35 million from the National Lottery Heritage Fund to make improvements. Enquiries were made if the project could help assist the CCA situation. Councillor Annette Christie, SNP, said the Suckyhall Street Culture and Heritage District Award is, quote, very welcome, and Glasgow Life is an ongoing conservation with Creative Scotland. Councillor Christie said, quote, there is a great deal of interest in the CCA building at this point. They will be reviewing the options available. She added, there is an admission process they have to go through. I would anticipate that as soon as those doors can be opened legally, once that process is completed, they will be. What exactly it will emerge as, I couldn't say at this point. End quote. Earlier in the meeting, Green Councillor John Molyneux asked if the Suckyhall Street funding could be used to, quote, bring reanimation of the CCA into the scope of this project, unquote. Speaking as last week's City Admission Committee, he said, quote, we all want to see that reopen as soon as possible, unquote. An officer told him the funding application for the National Lottery Heritage Fund was made in different circumstances, and the Council will deliver the agreed projects. The funding will be used for preservation work to be carried out on the McLellan Galleries, and the Cameron Memorial Fund is to be restored, among other work. There are also set to be public realms improvements as the Glasgow Royal Concert Hall steps, among other landmarks. Along with other work, shopfronts are also to receive makeovers under the proof of concept phase running until December 2027. Councillor Ruari Kelly, SNP, said the proof of concept project, quote, looks to address some of the well-known factors impacting one of Glasgow's premier destinations, be that the shift in retail habits or multiple major fires the street has suffered from, unquote. The £2.3 million award came after the £350,000 award from the National Lottery Heritage Fund that was received in 2024 for an exploration phase for Sauchiehall Street. Glasgow City Council is to make a contribution to the project of £400,000. The scheme is a partnership between Glasgow Life, Glasgow City Council, Glasgow Film Theatre, the Scottish Ensemble and Articulate Cultural Trust, among others. Councillors accepted the funding for the Sauchiehall Street Culture and Heritage District Proof of Concept project phase. This article was written by Sarah Hilly.
This is from the Glasgow Times of Tuesday, 3rd of March, from the news section. Emirates Glasgow to Dubai flights cancelled amid Iran airspace closure. This article is by Aidan Maxwell. Emirates Dubai service from Glasgow Airport remains disrupted despite the airline announcing a limited resumption of flights. We reported yesterday that the carrier confirmed it would begin operating a reduced schedule from the evening of March the 2nd, following the temporary partial closure of United Arab Emirates airspace amid the US and Israel conflict with Iran. However, according to live air traffic data from Flight Radar 24, the 1344 EK28 Emirates flight from Glasgow to Dubai on Tuesday, March the 3rd, has been cancelled. Flights from Glasgow were also cancelled on Sunday and Monday as tensions escalated in the region. Emirates has not issued a further update since stating that only a limited number of services would operate, with customers being contacted directly if they are rebooked onto available flights. The airline also advised passengers not to travel to the airport unless notified. Another Emirates service from Glasgow to Dubai is scheduled to depart at 13:35 on Wednesday, March the 4th. Although it remains unclear at this stage whether that flight will go ahead. The airline has said it continues to monitor the situation and that the safety and security of passengers and crew remain its highest priority. That article was by Aidan Maxwell. This is from the Glasgow Times of Tuesday the 3rd of March, from the news section. Man stabbed in Paisley Blackstone Road as police race to incident. This article is by Aidan Maxwell. A man has been sent to hospital following a stabbing in Paisley. Emergency services were called to a property on Blackstone Road at around 7:05 p.m. on Monday, March the 2nd, 2026, after reports that a man had been seriously injured. Specialist officers, including firearms units, attended as a precaution. A 66-year-old man was taken to hospital with serious injuries consistent with being stabbed. His condition is described as stable. A 67-year-old man was traced at a property in the Westwood Gardens area a short time later and was arrested. Inquiries are ongoing. Chief Inspector Ian Farmer said, I understand this was a concerning incident for the local community. However, I would like to offer reassurance that there was no risk to the wider public, and we are treating this as targeted. I'd like to thank the public for their patience and assistance while we attended. That article was by Aidan Maxwell.
This is from the Glasgow Times on the 4th of March 2026 from the news section, and the headline reads, Notable increase in women applying for Glasgow construction training. This article was by Esther Tarnay. There's a notable increase in women signing up for construction training in Glasgow. Glasgow Kelvin College reported the change as it marked Scottish Apprenticeship Week, highlighting the role colleges are playing in widening access to traditionally male-dominated industries. The college, which supports more than 1,200 apprentices this academic year, said that targeted outreach and the use of social media platforms such as TikTok to showcase workshop life. This helped shift perceptions around who construction careers are for. Since its introduction, more women have progressed into core construction disciplines, including carpentry and joinery, bricklaying, painting, and decorating and multi-trades, alongside apprenticeship pathways. Holly Thomas, a student on the Women into Construction course, said, Before starting the course, I didn't think construction was something I could see myself doing. Seeing other women in the workshops and having that supportive environment made a huge difference. It gave me the confidence to try things I never thought I'd be capable of, and now I'm seriously considering moving into a construction apprenticeship. Joanna Campbell, principal of Glasgow Kelvin College, said, Scottish Apprenticeship Week gives us the opportunity to showcase the breadth of apprenticeship provision and the impact it has on Scotland's economy. We are proud to support more than 1,200 apprentices this year across sectors that are critical to future growth. As a trusted provider and national leader in building services and HVACR, we are directly supporting the skills pipeline required to meet net zero ambitions. At the same time, widening access remains a priority. Using digital platforms to show the reality of workshop learning has helped challenge outdated perceptions and encourage more women to consider careers in construction. This article was by Esther Tarnay. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 4th of March 2026 from the news section, and the headline reads, Calls to clean up severe fly tipping in Glasgow's Gardens Lane. This article was by Ava White. A landowner has been served with an enforcement notice over what locals have branded as a severe case of fly tipping. The issue is located on privately owned land on Gardens Lane behind Main Street in Baillieston and has reportedly been ongoing for more than a year. Videos taken by the Glasgow Times show scores of mattresses, couches, carpets and household items have been dumped in the area and are spilling out onto the nearby path. One resident explained that they first reported the waste to Glasgow City Council 9 months ago, and since then it has only gotten worse. They said, This is a severe case of fly tipping. I only started reporting it in May last year, but I know it's been there longer than that. No one is doing anything about it, and it's not even improving. It's actually getting worse. It's not down some hidden country road in a rural area where there's not a lot of people around. This is right on a main street where people walk past all the time. This should be a priority, and it's just not being treated like one. I can't pick up mattresses myself. There needs to be a team that comes in and does it. It shouldn't take as long as it has to get this sorted. Bailey Kevin Lally, who represents the Baillieston area, said he is as frustrated as many in the community over the issue. Meanwhile, John Grady, MP for Glasgow East, stated that the city is fed up with fly tippers. He said, I have raised these specific concerns on numerous occasions with GCC on behalf of my constituents. We are proud of our city and are fed up with fly tippers. Fly tipping is out of control, and clean-ups cost Glaswegians huge sums of money. The council confirmed that it does have the power to clear the land and then pursue the owner to pick up the bill through all available means. A spokesperson said, An enforcement notice has been served on the landowner, who is responsible for the land being cleared and kept to an acceptable standard. We have the power to undertake the work and then pursue the landowner for the costs of work through all available means. We will continue to pursue the landowner for a remedy in this case. Chris Mitchell, GMB convener in GCC Cleansing, noted that the local authorities are right to say that it should be for landowners to clean up their land, but that this is not happening. He further highlighted that Glaswegians deserve to be protected from atrocious dumps. Chris commented, "Most often this happens on privately owned land, and the council are right to say it should be for the owners to clean it up, but that is not happening. In the meantime, people are being forced to live beside these atrocious dumps, risking their health and their families' safety. These sites are invariably in the city's poorest postcodes, but the complaints of families living there are, apparently, easier to ignore. We need to tackle these sites as soon as they start to take hold, clean them, fence them, and move to the next one. Meanwhile, we must investigate, trace, and punish those responsible, because without proper deterrence, they will never stop. It will need resources and will not be easy, but the people of Glasgow deserve to be protected from this. Nobody should be asked to live next to this." This article was by Ava White. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 4th of March 2026, from the news section, and the headline reads, "Glasgow off-gym workers ballot opens for strike action amid pay dispute." This article is by Amy Miles. Nearly 1,000 PCS members working at off-gym are being balloted for strike action. The dispute centres on pay, job security and industrial relations. It has been ongoing since March of last year, with 2 previous strike days already having taken place. Staff based in London, Glasgow and Cardiff are included in the new ballot, which opened today, March 4th, and will close on April 10th. Fran Heathcote, PCS General Secretary, said, "Our members regulate the energy market and protect consumers every day, yet they are still being asked to accept uncertainty over their pay and their jobs. We shouldn't have to ballot again, but Ofgem, DESNZ and ministers have been too slow to deliver. Patience is running out. This ballot is a clear warning. Unless serious negotiations start now and real progress is made, Ofgem will face further industrial unrest. Our members deserve fair pay, secure jobs and a real voice in the decisions that affect their futures." The PCS opted to reballot members after talks failed to progress on core issues. The previous ballot resulted in strike action and secured some movement on office attendance policy. However, PCS argues that the key concerns remain unresolved. The union is calling for a satisfactory pay offer, firm assurances on job security, and stronger agreements governing how decisions affecting staff are made. Negotiations on pay have yet to commence, or the impact on jobs of major policy decisions by the Department for Energy Security and Net Zero, DESNZ, include the Warm Homes Plan, and the ongoing Ofgem review remains unclear. The PCS said these resolved issues have left staff with unanswered questions about their future, while expectations and workloads are described as growing. This article was by Amy Miles. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 4th of March 2026, from the news section, and the headline reads, "Man due in Airdrie Sheriff Court charged with death of Adam Lawson." This article is by Amy Miles. A man is due to appear in court today, charged in connection with the death of Adam Lawson. Police were called to Hope Road in Kirkmuir Hill on Sunday, March 1st, at around 3:30 am, after they received reports that a man had been found dead on the street. Yesterday, he was named as 39-year-old Adam Lawson, who is from the local area. A 40-year-old man has been arrested and charged in connection with his death. He is due to appear at Airdrie Sheriff Court today. A Police Scotland spokesperson said, "A 40-year-old man has been arrested and charged in connection with the death of a man in Lanarkshire. Around 3:30 am on Sunday, March 1st, 2026, police received a report that a 39-year-old man had died in the Hope Road area of Kirkmuir Hill. He has been named as Adam Lawson from the local area. The 40-year-old man is due to appear at Airdrie Sheriff Court on Wednesday, March 4th, 2026. This article was by Amy Miles. This is from the Glasgow Times on the 4th of March 2026, from the news section, and the headline reads, "Tons of food saved from landfill and handed out in Glasgow." This article is by Esther Tarnay. More than a ton of food otherwise going to waste has been saved and handed out to North Glasgow residents for free last year. Hundreds of people have benefited and continue to do so from an ongoing partnership between Booker Wholesale in Port Dundas and the Barmouth Community Development Charity, BCDC. From sandwiches to fruit juice, cheeses and cakes, locals queue at midday every Thursday to receive a goodie bag, no questions asked. Janet McLaughlin, Administration Officer at BCDC, said, "Once we arrive back here with the food that we got, we put it out on the tables. Loads of people turn up and wait. It's phenomenal how many locals and other organisations we've helped in the community. Sometimes they're shy, but we always tell them it's for everybody. Don't be ashamed to take it. We don't label people, and you can take what you need or what you want. We have the early years nursery here, so the parents come often. But we also have saved a lot of people from going hungry. If they're short on cash, and this helps them out for a couple of days, that's great. I'm so proud and glad that we're able to do this." Brian Land, Development Manager at the charity, continued, "The total distribution in 2025 was 1.2 tonnes of food and 3,000 litres of juice, milk and yoghurt. This enables us to reduce food waste and encourage large organisations to support community projects. It also helped us support meal initiatives and various events throughout the year, including Christmas and Easter." The organisation also runs meet and eat sessions at their Quarrywood Road hub every week, for which they also use some of the food they receive. Here, people can get a hot meal, such as a bowl of soup and a roll, along with a beverage. Brian McLeod, Area Manager at Booker Wholesale, explained, "We want to partner up with as many charities as possible because we want to give. BCDC is doing a fantastic job, and it's great to be in touch with the local community." Alan Kane, Customer Supervisor, added, "The main thing is reducing food waste. If we can do that as a company, that's brilliant, because the amount of food that is wasted in the UK is phenomenal. If we have excess, we will phone a local charity and ask them if they want it." This article is by Esther Tarnay.
From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday, the 4th of March 2026. From the lifestyle section, East Kilbride Centre West Shopping Centre closes public access, by Amy Miles. Demolition work has forced the closure of a key shopping centre entrance as a major transformation project gets underway. Pedestrian access is now closed to the Centre West section of East Kilbride Shopping Centre, with no through route available from Rothsay Street to Centre West. This change marks the latest stage in a large regeneration project for East Kilbride's town centre, including plans to demolish Centre West. Access to the shopping centre from Rothsay Street will now be through the new plaza entrance located between Waterstones and Boots. All other entrances and exits remain unchanged. Taken to social media, East Kilbride Shopping Centre said, "From today, public access to the Centre West will no longer be available to allow for demolition works to progress. Public access to the centre from Rothsay Street will now be through our new plaza entrance, which is situated between Waterstones and Boots, and exits beside Plaza Car Park exit ramp. All other entrances and exits remain in normal operation. Access to Centre West from Plaza will remain open, but will be limited to customers using Superdrug, who continue to trade in Centre West until the relocation to Plaza in May 2026. Superdrug remains open in Centre West with limited access until it relocates to the Plaza in May 2026. The ownership of Centre West and East Kilbride Town Centre transferred back to South Lanarkshire Council at the beginning of 2026. The wider redevelopment forms a part of a master plan to deliver major changes in East Kilbride, including up to 300 new homes, a civic hub, improved public spaces, and upgraded retail and leisure opportunities. Councillor Joe Fagan, leader of South Lanarkshire Council, said, "The aim of the master plan is clear: to provide a vibrant new heart of East Kilbride that everyone who lives in or visits the town can be proud of. I always said East Kilbride faces a choice of two futures, radical change or radical decline. We chose radical change, and now we can get on with building a better future for the town. I'm delighted with how things are progressing and the positive impact the changes will have on the town centre. Plans for the site include 250 to 300 new homes, with 25% allocated to social housing. A new civic hub is also proposed with space for community, arts and leisure facilities, a public square, upgraded streetscapes and potential for new retail and ground floor commercial space also form part of the scheme. Several existing businesses in Centre West, including Muffin Break, HMV and TUI, have already relocated elsewhere within the centre. The management team continues to work to bring additional retails into East Kilbride. Alan Smiley, Centre Manager at EK East Kilbride, said, "We are entering an exciting phase as all partners work together to deliver the vision that will transform East Kilbride Town Centre. It will be business as usual for retailers in other parts of the centre, with every effort being made to ensure the demolition work, when it happens in 2026, causes minimal disruption. We also fully understand that retailers, shoppers and the wider community will be keen to know how the work is progressing, so regular updates will be provided as the master plan moves forward. The redevelopment of Centre West is one component of a wider regeneration plan for East Kilbride, which also includes a new supermarket, hotel, leisure facilities and upgrades to the malls. East Kilbride Shopping Centre remains open, with all other entrances operating as normal. The centre has said it will continue to share information with visitors and businesses as the project advances." That article was written by Amy Miles and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday the 4th of March 2026, from the Lifestyle section. Glasgow Film Theatre named in Time Out's Top 100 Cinemas. Report by Donald Erskine. A Glasgow cinema has been named among the world's top 100 movie theatres. Today, Time Out has revealed its list of the 100 greatest cinemas in the world. The top 10 features a legendary LA movie palace, a dreamy Dublin picture house, an Amsterdam landmark full of history, and a cult cinema owned by a Hollywood great. The Glasgow Film Theatre, GFT, has scooped the highest ranking in Scotland, with two other cinemas across the country making the list. The GFT came in at 59th spot on the list, while Cameo Picture House in Edinburgh was 77th, and Cromarty Cinema in 95th. Glasgow Film Theatre is the city's original independent picture house, a Rose Street landmark that's been championing art house and world cinema since it first opened as the Cosmo in 1939. Now a Category B listed building and an educational charity, the 3-screen venue mixes new independent and international releases with retrospectives, cult favourites and festival fare, including the award-winning Glasgow Film Festival. Time Out's global film editor Phil Island has canvassed local experts from across the world, as well as top directors like Pedro Almodovar, Paul Thomas Anderson, Sean Baker and Mia Hansen-Love, to create the ultimate guide to local cinemas that make the movie-going experience even more special. Phil said, "There's never been a better, or more important, time to celebrate cinemas. They're the places we go to dream, the focal points of our communities and an all-round great escape, and they're faced with unprecedented challenges. But there's reasons for optimism. The letterbox generation is embracing the big screen experience like never before, with Oscar-winning filmmakers like Ryan Coogler, Christopher Nolan and Chloe Zhao its tireless champions. In that spirit, we pointed a spotlight at 100 magnificent movie palaces from across the globe that all movie lovers should know about and hopefully visit. The cinema topping the list is TCL Chinese Theatre. From the second you step foot inside this Hollywood landmark, you can tell you've escaped to somewhere special. The radiant red curtain, Grandois golden columns and dazzling starburst on the ceiling, make every screening feel like it's the opening night of Star Wars in 1977. And since its IMAX conversion, the main auditorium is simply the best place in the world to watch a new movie. Here are the ranked top 10 movie theatres in the world. 1. TCL Chinese Theatre, Los Angeles, USA. 2. The Stella Cinema, Rathmines, Dublin, Ireland. 3. BFI South Bank, London, UK. 4. New Beverly Cinema, Los Angeles, USA. 5. Film Forum, New York, USA. 6. Pathé Koninklijke Theatre, Tuschinski, Amsterdam, Netherlands. Cinedore Filmoteca Española, Madrid, Spain. The Prince Charles Cinema, London, UK. Music Box Theatre, Chicago, USA. Cineteca Nacional de Mexico City, Mexico. That report was written by Donald Erskine and read by Ian McKenna. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday, the 4th of March 2026, from the Lifestyle section. Humza Yousaf to publish deeply personal memoir. Article written by Craig Williams. Glasgow Pollock MSP Humza Yousaf is to publish a deeply personal memoir. Literary non-fiction imprint The Bridge Street Press has acquired Under Fire, My Family's Escape from Gaza and the Cost of Leadership. According to the bookseller, the memoir will see the former First Minister recount the 4 weeks in October 2023 when his wife's parents were trapped in the Gaza Strip and his efforts to secure their safe passage home to Scotland. The book blends political insight with intimate family testimony and explores themes of leadership under pressure, identity, and the human cost of global conflict. Publisher Samir Rahim has acquired world rights to Under Fire from David Godwin at leading London literary agency DGA, the bookseller noted. Mr. Yousaf said, "I'm delighted to be partnering with Samir and the team at the Bridge Street Press to tell the story of my family's escape from Gaza. Those were the most difficult weeks of our lives, and publishing this book will help shine a spotlight on the continued devastation in Gaza and also provide an honest account of how, as leader of my country, I try to balance personal relationships with public duty." Mr. Rahim added, Humza's book is an extraordinary and moving account that combines gripping personal narrative with a unique political perspective. Under Fire offers readers a rare insight into leadership during a time of crisis and the deeply human experiences behind the headlines. Under Fire, My Family's Escape from Gaza and the Cost of Leadership is scheduled for publication in October. Back in August last year, the Herald revealed that Yousaf had taken on 2 new jobs as he prepares to stand down as an MSP at the 2026 Holyrood election. The MSP's part-time roles include public speaking and advising on climate change. During his time as First Minister, the Scottish Government abandoned legally binding targets on climate change. SNP ministers had committed to reducing emissions by 75% by 2030, but then Net Zero Minister Marie McCallan warned the targets were out of reach. However, the government maintained its commitment to reach net zero by 2045. Mr. Yousaf abruptly resigned as First Minister, shortly after ending the Bute House agreement with the Scottish Greens. Green members had been due to vote on ending the power sharing deal with the SNP after the key climate targets were dropped. That article was written by Craig Williams. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday, the 4th of March 2026, from the Lifestyle section. Kay Adams breaks silence over brutal BBC Radio Scotland acts. Report by Donald Erskine. Broadcaster Kay Adams has said it's been a brutal 5 months after being taken off air from her BBC Scotland radio show. The broadcaster, 63, who also appears on ITV's Loose Women, was taken off air from her morning radio programme in October, a decision which was reportedly made following allegations about her behaviour. BBC Scotland confirmed on Saturday that Adams would not be returning to her radio show, Mornings With. Speaking on the podcast How to Be 60 with Kay Adams, she said, "It's been a brutal 5 months, there's no doubt about it. It's hard. I'm torn between not wanting to appear to ignore things, but also, I just don't see a lot of point in saying much at this time. This is a time to process things, try and get life back on track. Try and get my mental health back on track. Try and get my eating back on track, my sleeping back on track, and just my life back on track." She went on to praise her daughters, Charlie and Bonnie, for being so supportive of her and that she's not been as present for them, which she describes as a real sadness. She added, "They're such amazing girls, and they are so supportive of me, and like you're the mum, you're the adult, it's your job to look after them. I'm just so proud of them, I'm so thankful to them." BBC Scotland confirmed that Adams would not be returning to the role and that the presenter lineup would remain as it is for the moment. In October, Adams said that her name had been dragged through the mud after she was taken off her programme. The BBC has not commented on the reason for Adams' departure. She joined BBC Scotland in 2010 and is also a regular panellist on ITV's Loose Women. In 2022, she appeared on the BBC One dancing programme Strictly Come Dancing and was a contestant on the third series of Celebrity MasterChef. The BBC has been contacted for comment. That report was written by Donald Erskine. From the Glasgow Times, Wednesday the 4th of March 2026, from the Lifestyle section. The Lapels reuniting for one-off Glasgow show in memory of frontman. Report by Donald Erskine. A band who were tipped for stardom are reuniting to play a one-off Glasgow show to commemorate one of the band members who tragically died 10 years ago. The Lapels are reuniting for a hugely emotional charity show, 10 years after iconic frontman Gary Watson tragically lost his life in an accident while celebrating his birthday. The band are donating all proceeds from the show to the Glasgow Humane Society, a non-profit organisation dedicated to saving lives on the River Clyde and promoting water safety and accident prevention. The show is at St Luke's on August 15 and tickets are on sale this Friday as Gary's family and bandmates celebrate his legacy and passion through his hugely talented band and friends. Rosie Watson is Gary's cousin, but they were always more like siblings. Rosie is now working with Gary's band, the Lapels, to continue his legacy. With pride, she said. "I was the luckiest person in the world to grow up with Gary by my side and was so fortunate to watch him constantly shine on stage and change people's lives with his music. Gary believed Glasgow was a goldmine of music and he welcomed everyone with open arms, whether friend or stranger. He was endlessly positive, uplifting and full of light. I am forever in awe of the legacy Gary created within the music scene in Scotland and beyond. Even though he is gone, he continues to inspire others to this day. On August 15 this year, we are hosting a show to celebrate his life and passion while raising funds for the Glasgow Humane Society, who did all they could on the evening of his accident. Gary was always full of love. As hard as it is to grieve, grief exists because of love. Love is something I will always carry for Gary." In the space of just 3 years, the Lapels supported artists such as the Last Shadow Puppets, Blossoms, The Cooks, and The View, and at the time of Gary's accident, the boys were set to support fellow East Kilbride band, the Jesus and Mary Chain. Both the creative and wider communities of Glasgow and East Kilbride were wrought by the tragic passing of Gary, who was celebrating his 22nd birthday with friends at the time of his accident. Speaking about that time, Rosie said, "Gary was celebrating his birthday when he tragically fell in the river. After taking some time to process the loss, I made the decision to move my career into the music industry. I made that decision because I wanted to help others achieve their dreams, just as his manager, Murray, and the team at Wildlife Entertainment helped make his dreams come true. Gary was known to always go to the band's live gigs, even if only 10 other people were in attendance. I will never forget the excitement in Gary's voice when he told me he was going to support the Last Shadow Puppets, or the biggest grin on his face telling me that a few members of Franz Ferdinand went to see one of the Lapels shows in Glasgow. That moment meant everything to him. I just hope I can help artists I work with feel the same joy he did. 2026 marks the 10th year since Gary's accident, and the Lapels will be reforming for a one-off gig to commemorate his abundant life and dedicated contribution to the Scottish music scene. Playing at St Luke's on the 15th of August, the band will be joined by their friends and special guests as they perform songs from their seminal self-titled album. Tickets for this unique gig will go on sale from the 6th of March, and the proceeds will be donated to the Glasgow Humane Society, a non-profit organisation dedicated to saving lives on the River Clyde and promoting water safety and accident prevention. Rosie said, "The Humane Society put themselves at huge risk pretty much every night to save the lives in the Clyde. What they do is amazing, and we hope this show stops even one family from enduring what we have." That report was written by Donald Erskine and read by Ian McKenna.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Tune Review and to tell your friends about our service.